Gates, and how's it going, guys and gals in the wargaming world? Been a busy week here at the studio, and lots of stuff coming in, a lot of changes. Making some serious progress on my hobby, and so wanted to invite you guys in this wonderful day and show you my latest addition. Now, I know in the past I did mention that I'm probably going to stick with the couple of game systems that I'm primarily playing, and like a lot of us gamers, I got sucked into the abyss, the gamer abyss, back to another gaming system, and this gaming system is Black Powder. Alright, I got the Waterloo starter kit, came in fresh from the UK this coming week, or this past week, and just popped the box open yesterday. Comes with the nice small rule book. I also have the big hardback book that I ordered on top of that, and you can look online, there's a zillion unboxing videos out there, but this is basically just the outside of the box. Waterloo. Alright, you get your Waterloo historical quick start rules. You get 48 Brits, 48 French, some cavalry, artillery, and I did throw up another video about the airbrushing. I'm going to put up a couple better videos on my airbrushing when I get ready to do more airbrushing, because there was a segment that I wanted to put in there. It was more of a close-up that didn't make it. So check out that video. It should be right below this video. And you know, really enjoying it. I'm really liking the figures. Warlord Games, my hat's off to you guys. The miniatures are incredibly good quality. Hardly any mold lines. It's interesting where they did the injections on the figs, right at the base of the neck and at the base of the mini. There's almost zero mold lines. A couple really light, faint out of the multiple figures I've got over here on my paint table. I think there was only two. I had to take my round file and knock some stuff off. Obviously the airbrush came in this week also. Found a good deal on that as a kit, and I highly encourage you guys, if you haven't gotten an airbrush, you can get into it. Really 7.5 star out of 10 star rated starter kit for $100. I mean, you're not going to beat that. Just think, after 10 to 15 aerosol cans, and even the dull coat, which is running about $8 a can on Amazon, once that initial investment in your primers and your matte coat, and I didn't realize until this week that they even make an acrylic matte coat. You don't need to deal with aerosols anymore and the enamels. You can go all acrylic and get the same effects you could get with enamels, and the same type of durability. So I encourage you, if you haven't made the plunge yet. I've been putting it off for years. I'm just old school. I've always used a brush, and on my larger armies I went to do an aerosol base coating instead of brushing the base coats on. So yeah, it's been a long time coming, but it is here. It is on the paint desk. I am using it. It is awesome. Even if you just use, not even running paint through it, I've found after filing and cleaning even some of the metal figs, taking the airbrush and just pushing the trigger and using the air to blow the frass and stuff off of the minis has been a useful thing. So you can use your airbrush for other things other than throwing paint. So yeah, so super stoked about getting into Napoleonics. I'm not going to go crazy. I'm not looking to recreate the Battle of Waterloo. I just want to build some nice Brit and French force, possibly down the road get Prussians, possibly down the road get Russians, Austrians, and kind of just collect some decent sized little armies with the infantry, cavalry, and some nice artillery units. I really am drawn to the artillery. So yeah, so there's that. I like the rule book. I've been glancing through it over the last 24 hours. Really nice, really well laid out. Just a good read. The Perrys, Alan and oh, I forget the other brothers, the Perry brothers, collaborated on the rules, which I thought was interesting, and also Rick Priestley. I mean, come on, you can't beat Rick Priestley. He's like a legend, just like Alessio Cavatore is. So the rule set's solid. A lot of guys are playing it, so you'll be able to find other things. The other great thing about Black Powder is someday down the road, as we move forward, I would like to do a Revolutionary War armies, the French Indian Wars, because I'd love to collect some Indian army, and you can even use this rule set up through the Civil War, so it's very versatile in that regard. So maybe someday I'll do Civil War. I've been a huge Civil War, American Civil War buff for a long time, and it's kind of not interesting as much to me as some of the other periods that I really am learning more about, and the tactics that they were using. So yeah, it's been really interesting. Finished up my grids. I got a couple of them over here in the office. Maybe I'll show you in the future, but for right now, this is a couple of dudes I just put together. And this was just that old toy set I bought. They were probably Airfix or something like that, from back when I was 10, 12 years old. And they finally got a fitting paint job and properly based. So there's that. So I got some of them here. I did pick up a storage cabinet. I'll show you that here in the last segment of the studio update, where it's just a Sterilite cabinet, nice plastic cabinet I use in other places in my lower level here in the workshop, and our pantry. They're super versatile. I use a larger cabinet for my terrain, and since it's closed, it's not on a shelf, it keeps the dust off of everything. But that's where I'm going to start storing my armies. Obviously I'm not going to buy kit bags for all my Napoleonics and my Kings of War. I've got a custom kit bag that I'm going to customize to fit any types of armies that I want to, that are multi-base armies, inside that bag. My custom battle foam bag. It's got my name on it. It's the 720, so it's a nice size, and it's a perfect size for carrying just one army into a tournament or to a gaming club. So in the interim, when those armies aren't being used in the gaming bag, they'll be stored in a cabinet like this. And when we finish out the Ultimate Gaming Den, I'm gonna put cabinets over in this area that I can store stuff in, and then I can repurpose these plastic cabinets for my workshops or in the pantry, so they'll still get used. But this is a good temporary storage solution. I'm going to show you guys. You can get them on Amazon for 70 bucks. You can put it together in 10 minutes, and I'm really pleased with they're really good quality, and they work exactly as intended. So what else? Oh yeah, something else. Brush cleaning. I really, usually pretty good at cleaning my brushes. Making sure the tips, I put the tips in my mouth, make sure they're nice and fine tip. But if you start digging into the brush, you notice that there's little fine particles of paint that build up at the hilt of the brush, right where the brush meets the metal. The ferrule, I think they call it. I don't know. Maybe you guys can put that down below. But so I did some research to find out what other guys are using, and I picked up the Masters brush cleaner. A lot of you guys might already be using this, but if you're not, I highly recommend it. When I first got it this week, I opened it up and it's kind of solid, and I thought, isn't this supposed to be almost like a cream or something like that? And well, no, it's not. What you do is you just you get your brush. I usually put warm water in my rinse glasses anyway. So you just put your brush in there, get it wet with warm water, open this up. It's almost like a soap, almost a firm soap, and you just swirl the brush across the top until it forms like a little bit of a lather on the brush bristles. You take your fingers and work it on the brush and then rinse it off, and it's amazing when you go to clean it with a paper towel after you rinse, the little bits of paint that came out of there. You know, and it looked like it was a clean brush until I did this, and then now it's a really clean brush. Apparently, that also has an additive in this cleaner that, because I use the Red Sable, the Army Painter Red Sable brushes, and this helps condition that, and it helps it last longer. The gentleman that referred this to me basically said this doubles the life of your brush. You know, if you use this every paint session, and it lasts virtually forever. You know, he says it just goes and goes and goes and goes. So there's that. So there's that tip I want to share with everybody out there who hasn't seen this and isn't using this. I'm in this mode right now where I'm really looking to raise my game. You know, I'm wanting my painting quality to get better. I'm wanting my workspace to be more organized, which it usually is organized, but I really want it to be super organized. Therefore, as I go either probably into the office, one segment of the office here will become my little studio area, while the man cave is being fleshed out. I can still be nice and organized. I can move things around easily as I start doing the framing. Yeah, so that's what we're going to do. Keep things organized, keep things so I can put them in bins quickly. You know, as I'm working, I can isolate the bins and things in the middle of the floor, and that way I'm not having to move everything out of this space down here to do the work I need to do. That's the goal there. So yeah, so that's basically just wanted to throw up a quick video, you know, sharing my new game system I'm basically morphing into here. I'm still going to be doing my finishing up the video. It's got a completely shot of the next desert battle over here with Flames of War. As soon as that's done, I will put it up. It's again another test battle, the same list, just from a different perspective. I've got more palm trees. I've got some more terrain on the board. I like the bluffs and the hills to restrict movement more, and see if that affects some of the tactics that I use, and then sharing that with you guys and see if maybe you can glean some information off of what I've learned with the new rules. Probably as we get into the winter, my winter break, I'll be adding more to the British forces, as I mentioned in the last update. Right now it's kind of put on hold. I'm really having fun with what I've got. Technically I could not take that British force to the way I have it listed out right now in this battle. It's not legal, as I mentioned before. So going to have to add some tanks, going to add some more artillery, this and that, and then once that's completely done, then I can start forming a list for my Normandy Brits, which I'm going to do an airborne unit. You know, I'm going to do a standard armored unit with infantry support. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. Kings of War right now, I've pretty much got everything I want for my Kings of War. I fleshed out, let's see, I've got the 3 armies, basically, main armies, are pretty well fleshed out. I'm happy with them. Have some good games with those. When I do get back to doing more Kings of War army building, I'm pretty sure I'm going to go with some sort of an undead army. I've always been interested in doing a vampire, you know, centered head of that undead force with, you know, some other undead beasties that I can put on the board and do a nice army for that. So that's kind of where I'm at on the Kings of War for you Kings of War guys. It's definitely still into Kings of War. It's a great game. Right now, this has become part of my three main games now. So I'm Black Powder in it, I'm Flames of War in it, I'm Kings of War in it. And as I mentioned before, somewhere in there, as we move forward, Hail Caesar is going to have to come in, because I want to build that Roman army really bad. I see Holy Diver putting those videos up, and those mass Peloponnesian wars and stuff is really appealing to me. So sky's the limits with gaming. This is just, the way I see it, it's just another part of my evolving gaming collection, my miniatures collections that I have started when I was back in college all the way up to today. It's a gradual thing. There was some big gaps in there, having kids and starting a business and this and that. And I'm glad I still came back to it. It's something I find enjoyable. It's interesting, especially the historicals. I'm really liking historicals because of all the other things you learn. So, as I said before, if you're just finding this channel, I invite you to, there's tons of other great channels out there with good guys putting up good content. Yeah, we're not polished video producers, but we're still sharing the hobby. We're still, giving foods for thought. And just, the thing I wanted to say was to you new gamers that may be just stumbling across this video, is how multifaceted this hobby is. I mean, it's really got a lot of angles to it. And then you get the modeling, the painting, the strategy, the list building, the camaraderie you get with other gamers. And then once you get into each individual game system, there's all the facets to that game system, all the angles of the strategy, all the different angles of the list building. It's seems like it's never ending, and especially, like I said, with historicals, you're learning about the past and how people lived and the way things that were done, and you can tie the common thread that runs, from Alexander the Great days all the way up to modern days, and seeing the push and the pull over the Middle East, and how these kinds of conflicts and things have always been part of our human history. So it's always fascinating for me when I stumble across new stuff. One of the other channels out there also gave me a great idea, and I want to pass that along. If you're not listening to podcasts while you're painting or building, even when I'm up on the front porch or patio grilling, we've got a nice grill on the front and back of the house because I love to grill. I tend to grill on the front porch a lot. We got nice rocking chairs, and I just sit up there and chill, and I just put on a podcast and crack a beer. Speaking of beer, and just sit and listen to, like, there's Flames of War podcasts. There's history podcasts. There's any types of podcasts, interviews, all kinds of interesting stuff out there. I just stream it through on my iPhone, through my iTunes account, and I'm finding it even in the field when I'm working, stopping and eating my lunch. I still pop in a podcast and listen to, always trying to learn, more things, about the strategies other guys are using, the list building that they're doing, new things that are coming into the marketplace for models, dice, other kinds of things that can add to our gaming experience. So definitely do check out podcasting. I'm really starting to get into that. It's really something interesting to follow. So anyways, I'm going to pop over to this next segment. I'm just going to show you real quick this cabinet and how nice it works for just storing your unused armies until you want to use them. When it's an inexpensive one-time expense. I could probably store, depending on the size of your armies, 3 or 4 or 5 armies in here. This shelf kit comes with 4 shelves, but I'm going to be making like little mini shelves that are freestanding that I'm actually going to use in the kit bag and that's my idea that I'll introduce to you in the future as I build them. I'll show you what materials I'm using and how I'm doing that, so I can still use my battle foam bag to move my my multi-based units from place to place. Alright, so without further ado, I'll show you this cabinet. Alright, so here's the Sterilite cabinet. Amazon purchase, as most of my purchases are. The other shelf I already had over here, I just reorganized a little bit. There is my main kit bag. It's got the standard foams that come in here, but I'm going to take those out, and we're going to put a like a tiered shelf system in here that you can lift out and put units in. I'm also contemplating some other concepts once I measure this and how I'm going to do that. But in the meantime, since I'm going to start cranking out some more armies here, I needed a place where I could put unused armies. So there's my Beastmen, or my herd as it is in Kings of War, and it's a nice flat gray, so it goes with just about anything. I've got some of my older books in the bottom to kind of weigh down the cabinet, so it has some nice weight to it. I am going to file my books, because out there in the office around the corner there I've got another little case that's full of books and old rule books, so I'm going to reorganize all that stuff at some point. But the shelves are adjustable, and then you can buy because you cannot buy extra shelf kits. I can't figure it out, but you can buy little wire shelves you can put in here on top of these to kind of get a multi-level stacking system. So I'm going to be addressing that. I'm going to be searching for something that I can use in that regard, so I can double the shelf space. And if I did that, if I could add double the shelf space in this thing, I figure, geez, you might be able to get 6-7 armies in there, right? And it keeps the dust off them. That's the main thing. So, and then there's the other one that I have that has all my terrain. Yeah, so keep gaming, guys.